Joker is a 2019 psychological thriller written, directed, and produced by Todd Phillips, the director of Road Trip, Old School, Starkey and Hodge, the Hangover trilogy. It was also co-written by Scott Silver, who is a friend of his and also a collaborator in many different projects. We also have Bradley Cooper, Emma Tillinger-Koskov as producers in this film. And there's a lot of different studios participating, collaborating to bring this film to pretty much to the audience. You have DC Films, Village, Roadshow Pictures, Brown Creative, joint effort, and the film is distributed, of course, by Warner Brothers. Now, there was a lot of speculation in regards to this film. There was a lot of expectation and also a lot of controversy due to the subject matter. Now, in the next couple of minutes, we're going to explore the quality of the film, but also we're going to explore all these different themes and all this different drama around it to really find out if this is they were pretty much called for and it was necessary, or if the film is a masterpiece or not. A lot of people are calling it a masterpiece, but I'm going to share with you how I feel about the film, the good and the bad. So stay tuned. The good. The most powerful thing in this film, or at least the thing that you're going to notice at the first scene, and it's going to continue on throughout the whole movie, is the cinematography. Lawrence Shear, in this case, the director and cinematographer, Garden State, The Dictator, The Hangover series, also a friend of this case of Todd Phillips, he's masterful in this film. I cannot really tell you how wonderful shot this film is. It is just amazing. The close-ups, it's very angular, like you can see there's different angles, and he portrays in this case New York City, because he was filmed in New York City and Jersey City and Newark, so you can see the beauty, the grittiness of the city. And of course, everything is shot in an origin story in 1981. So they are able to bring the vehicles, the feel, the people, outfits of the time. It looks fantastic. But everything around it, the cinematography, different shots, it's just amazing. The colors pop in a way that really showed that grittiness. There's some colorfulness to it, but there's some grittiness. There's some darkness in it, and it looks fantastic. I think, in my opinion, this is the highlight of the film. Overall, it's just the quality of in this case, of the shots, of the cinematography. That's the big plus, and you're going to notice it as soon as you get into the movie. Another part that is so fantastic in this film, and it goes along so well with the cinematography, is the music score. It plays so well. There's so many different tunes, some classic tunes, some more melodramatic tunes, some songs that we have, pop culture songs, but everything is playing pretty much, with the film. And it really expands and adds more, I would say, more strength, more depth, more value to the entire film. Really like the way the sound comes in the moments that needs to come. There is tension where it needs to be tension. There is some, some comedy in it as well. There is some dark situations. There's some drama. It's definitely well balanced. They did a fantastic job to play with the cinematography. You also, in every shot, you need to have some music in the background that really plays with those emotions. And definitely they did a fantastic job with that. Now, the most important aspect of any film, regardless of the quality of the cinematography, regardless of, the quality of the music, is always going to be the acting, of course. Acting really puts movies at the top or also at the bottom if the actors are not really fully committed to it. And in this case, there's a great cast here. You have Robert De Niro, you got Zazie Beetz, Francis Conroy, Brett Cullen, you got Douglas Hodge, fantastic actors and actresses. But the one that takes the cake, the person that really takes the cake here is Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck, who is the Joker. He is masterful in his portrayal. He is fantastic. He is a person that suffers from some type of dementia. He has mental illness, but even though he has shown some weakness at some point, he also shows some really eerie moments. He just goes with it. You go with it. The whole film is about him. It's the Joker film, and it just you go in this route with him, regardless of who is playing around. It's all about Joaquin Phoenix. It's all about Arthur Fleck and his descent to madness, and it's amazing the way he he portrays that. In moments you love him, you care for what he's going, and in some moments you're scared of him. It really makes you afraid. In my opinion, Joaquin Phoenix has portrayed at this point the best Joker so far, better than Heath Ledger. And a lot of people are going to probably deny that, or a lot of people are going to say that it's not true and they're not going to like that idea. But in my opinion, at this moment, based on what we've seen, this is the scariest, more dramatic, more really psychotic Joker that we have seen so far. There is definitely a that feel within the film, and he portrays that so well, and you can feel that throughout the whole movie, that descent into madness and those choices that he's making. At points you're going to feel sorry for him, but at some points you're definitely going to be afraid of him. Another aspect of this film that a lot of people are going to like is the fact that it's inspired, even though it's a new story, it's a new film, it's an origin story, it takes a lot of inspiration, of course, from The Killing Joke. And a lot of people are fans of The Killing Joke. I'm not a big fan of The Killing Joke, never been. But it does take its cues from that story, and you're going to notice that, and you're going to see that throughout the film. But also it takes a lot of inspiration from Martin Scorsese's classic films. You can feel Mean Streets, Taxi Driver. It takes a lot from Taxi Driver, The King of Comedy, After Hours. So he takes some cues from all the stories, from these classic stories, and kind of mix them together. And you also feel a little bit of Frank Miller in it, with a little bit of Dark Knight Returns. All of that combined, you get some connection with the Wayne family. There's connection with Batman, with a very young Bruce Wayne. So all of that is in the story. So even though it's a different story, some people are saying, well, this is not, technically a villain story, or this has no connection with Batman. Some people are misguided. It does have connections, and he set the stage for, I would say, the future of the DC universe. At least, in my opinion, I feel that this is where they're going. They're setting the stage. They're going way back, and they starting everything. And we know there is a Batman movie coming up. So it seems that they are connecting dots here, and at least from the background perspective. And I like that idea. Actually, I feel that it's the right way to go. And definitely this film, in that end, it really takes a lot of great inspiration from great movies and put them all together. The bad. Now it's time to talk about the bad. I think the biggest, I would say, problem with the film, at first you're going to notice, and all people are going to have a problem with it, is the pacing. The film, it's slow burn. It goes little by little, start building up until it gets to the place it needs to be. In this case, the total chaos of the Joker. But at first, you're seeing this character, Arthur Fleck, really dealing with the pain of the world he's living in. He is mentally disabled. He has problems of his own, problems at home. He takes care of his ill mother. He's dealing with a lot of things, a lot of chaos in his life, problems at work, he feels alone. He creates all these dreams in his mind of what he wants to be. He's a failed comedian. All of those things that he has developed in his own mind are defense mechanisms of the craziness in the world around him. And of course, Gotham City is going pretty much crazy. There's a lot of discontent. And this film really touches a lot of aspects of political senses in regards to, you can see this is the 1980s Gotham, but it's no far from today's situation that we live pretty much around the world. It really kind of plays the political cards, and you feel all of that throughout the film. But he is not interested. He's had no interest on what's happening around the world. He only has interest on what's happening in his own world, and you can feel it. That a lot of people can feel reflected with it. But definitely, I feel that because it goes so slow, it's really building up. It can take a little bit of time. If you're the type of person that don't like this type of psychological thrillers, this dramas, you're going to have a hard time really digesting the process, and by the time of the end of the film, you probably are no longer interested. For people that enjoyed this, they're not gonna have a problem with it. But some people, and a lot of people, particularly people that love superhero stories with more action, in this case, or even villain stories with more action, definitely are going to have a hard time with this film. Now, my greatest disappointment with this film is the story in itself. Beyond the pacing, I think is the story has no resolution. There's no ending to the story. And in that case, and in that situation, is very reflective of the movies that this film took inspiration from Scorsese films. Scorsese films are always like a full circle. They go around in circle to the same place they were at the beginning. And there's never resolution. It's just a glimpse of a time and space. You see a person's life unfolding sometimes into chaos. And this is what happened here. This is what you watch here. There's no resolution. Some people say, well, this is a villain story. There's no lesson to be learned in the sense of, there is no goodness in a villain. And I feel that in part the film could just be a cautionary tale. And in part it can serve that way if you really look at it that way. But not necessarily so. It's not a cautionary tale, although it does have a lot of messages. But I feel that the film doesn't really make a stand in any way in regards to mental illness, in regards to drug addiction, in regards to, classism, in regards to poverty, in regards to political senses. It doesn't take a stand. It's just the life of a person. And some people will say, but I just want entertainment. I don't want political senses in the films. So ultimately, it's just a story of a deranged person and how he becomes the Joker. In conclusion, well, there's much to tell about this film. There are so many great aspects of the film. There's so many great things to remember about the film. The cinematography for me was the highlight of everything. Joaquin Phoenix was also probably the highlight. And it's very likely that he's going to get nominated for the Oscar and he's going to win the Oscar. I'm not so sure the film is going to win the Oscar because definitely the subject matter is very touchy and a lot of people are very divided. It's a divisive film. But in this case, I would say Joaquin Phoenix was masterful in his portrayal. He is scary, he's lonely, he's afraid, he's everything. And you go in this roller coaster with his emotions. And at the end of the film, you can get to see that you don't know if everything that you saw was real. So definitely, although that, it really plays that part in the film. And it's definitely a psychological thriller. And it keeps you, I would say it wouldn't entertain you in the sense that it will make you laugh or, any of that. But definitely, it's going to make you think and make you think a lot. And sometimes some movies want to do that. But in my opinion, there's a lot of times where I feel that the story doesn't get where it needs to go. And that I feel that it could have been more powerful in the message in the end. But it doesn't. So what really holds this film in a higher standard, in my opinion, is the acting, is the music, and the cinematography. The story, not so much. So if I gotta give this film a score, my score, I would say I give it an 8 out of 10, which means it's a pretty outstanding film. It is a good film. It is outstanding. It's great. It's fantastic. But definitely I wouldn't consider the best in my opinion, or the most entertaining, or the most emotionally engaging, at least for me. I know for other people it's going to be a 9. Some people are giving it a 10. Some people are giving it less, like a 7 or 6. And sometimes it depends on your preference with hero stories, also your age group. Although I have older friends that also love the film to death. I have younger friends that love the film to death, but also I know a lot of older people and younger people that don't love it as much. So it's very divisive. I don't think it's going to win the Oscar, this story in itself, again, because it's divisive. But I do believe that the cinematography is going to win an Oscar. And I do believe that also the music score might win the Oscar. And definitely Joaquin Phoenix deserves to win the Oscar because of his interpretation of the character. Definitely there's a lot to take from this film. And I don't think it's the type of film that I want to watch over and over. Like some people might like that. I don't feel that I want to go back to it. And that's the reason why my score is not as high. Because I don't think that it's the type of film that you can constantly watch and rewatch because you feel entertained as much with it. It definitely takes it's a slow burn, and it's a psychological thriller that can take some toll when you watch it because of the level of, I would say, of grittiness and violence and darkness in this film. But that's just my opinion. What is yours? Do you watch it? Do you like it? Are you a fan of it? Do you dislike it? You cannot stand the film? Let me know in the comments below. So once again, my friends, thanks for watching. God bless, and I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.